So, hello everybody to a new edition of the BioRN member to member session from the BioRN offices stream today. It's in fact the 13th edition since we started with this format in January 2023. And for those who don't know much about the M2M sessions, the aim is to present companies from our continuously growing life science network, make their expertise and corporate philosophy visible. For those who don't know me, my name is Stephanie. I'm PR manager at BioRN, and I'm looking forward to talk to my interview guest, Francesco Gruospo. He's Chief Business Officer at Academic Labs, and I'm very much looking forward to finding out more about your company and, of course, about your scientific intelligence platform today. So it's great to have you here, Francesco.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Right. So, Francesco, let's start with an introduction of yourself as a person. Would you like to share with us your career journey, your motivation working in this field and working, of course, for Academic Labs?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for BioRN for organizing this. It's great to be part of this consortia in the German, very, very dynamic German region like Heidelberg. And we've been member of BioRN for second year now, and always enjoyed and look forward to attend your main event every year. So glad to have a more intro towards members as well with this. Yes, I'm Francesco, CBO of Academic Labs, part of the founding team of this technology solution started in Ghent roughly 8 years ago, 9, I guess. I think legally we started in 2015, so December 2015, so almost approaching the 9th year. Personally, I have an economic background. I started my career after traveling around Europe between my study in Belgium and the UK, and then started working for Elsevier, the scientific publisher based in the Netherlands and the UK a bit, and moved to Amsterdam, roughly 13 years ago. And during my executive MBA, I changed career from Elsevier towards more strategy side on startups. Firstly, with an experience in California with a unicorn now, very, very productive on the logistics side. And then went back to my real love, which is scientific information, meeting Arne, and together, making this journey, 9 years. So I guess a long journey so far in creating this central scientific intelligence platform for specifically early stage discovery side at the moment.
So thank you for the spotlight. Let's move to the company you're working for and shed light on the founding story of Academic Labs. So would you like to give us some more information? What was the motivation of the founder and the vision at that time?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, so it was late 2015, and Arnes Molders, the founder of Academic Labs, was the typical story back in the days of a PhD dropout, a person that was in the lab, who was experiencing research firsthand as an aging biologist, and having a clear challenge in understanding what was happening outside his world, and more specifically, how could he connect with very, very strategic company to advance his progress, as well as because simplistically, he didn't have the technology, the means, and the resources to advance his projects. So from that point of view, he started his journey understanding how can we create a more connected ecosystem where scientists are finding the right resources and the companies are finding the right know-how, intelligence and skills which would be relevant for the internal project as well. So that's how he started. He started pitching some ideas, and he managed to win some pitch competition, angel investors, as he always goes, friends and fool, as they call it. And then a year later, we both met, and we started the journey in creating Academic Labs. Initially was very opportunistic in a day of understanding, okay, how do we bring transparency and clarity? And I believe the first very project was with J&J, 2016. And at that time, they had a very first clear challenge in understanding, okay, we have no understanding. At that time, CAR-T was very hot in terms of topic. not understanding of what is the research activities in Europe on that specific topic. So academic labs came in mapping labs active in life science in the top university in Europe. And that was our very first project. And since then, of course, things have advanced massively, but that was the very input, bringing transparency to what is happening in the early stage of science. Can it be academia? But then, of course, we realized that the early stage science is everywhere. Academia, but as well as research center, hospitals, companies, startup, spin-off, consortium, and basically that is how things exploded and went to map anything that research-wise is happening and allow people to.
Okay, so it's about helping to find the needle in the haystack. That's what you also say on your website. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like the concept is like complexity of research is known to everybody, and everybody know that they need complementary competencies for advancing their project. But that is the basic. But then, of course, like in details, we do understand that the major challenges come from everywhere. Like, can it be the external innovation team of the pharma department, can be the R&D department of the pharma team, but as well can be TTOs in the academic side or research centers. Everybody somehow needs external competencies to advance their projects. And can be as well for VCs that they're looking for early stage, very interesting ideas to invest on. Can be lab equipment people that they're trying to provide the services to the kind of research that requires their competencies. So that the difference are very, 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 the topics and the knowledge and then the examples are very different. However, the common denominator is understanding who is doing what out there.
Right. Thank you very much. So this is a nice transition, Francesco, to the company video from my point of view, which we could start right now. And this captures the spirit of the company as well as the expertise of the team quite well. So let's start the video.
Hi, welcome to our office here in Ghent. I'm Francesco, the CBO of Academic Labs, and proud to have you here today and to welcome you in our office.
I'm Arne, I'm the founder and CEO of Academic Labs. And about 8 years ago I started Academic Labs. While I was doing my PhD in aging biology, I noticed a lot of inefficiencies, a lot of friction in trying to combine expertise, technologies, capabilities to advance research. And because of those inefficiencies, this really slows down the progress in science. And apparently when I talk to pharma companies, they experienced exactly the same thing, a lot of inefficiencies slowing them down in growing their drug pipelines.
Hey, I'm Gert-Jan. I'm from the engineering team and already here from the start of Academic Labs. I bring together scientific data to present valuable insights.
So it became our mission to bring transparency and structure to the chaotic scientific world out there. To be more precise, we really want to make sure that any scientific knowledge worker can identify for any technology, disease or target the ideal collaborators, the ideal experts to consult, promising startups, the competitive landscape, or simply to stay on top of any scientific developments.
Hey, I'm Tim. I'm the product manager here at Academic Labs, which means that I'm turning our many ideas into reality. I've been a computer science researcher for 10 years. And the reason I joined Academic Labs is because I want to help bridge the industry academia gap and to really break free the vast amounts of researcher knowledge from their silos. And to achieve this mission, it means to digest huge amounts of data to really render the scientific landscape. And at the end of the day, it's of course all about giving tangible answers to the everyday problems that our customers have. Finding key opinion leaders, finding rising stars, catching the latest trends, just in general staying on top of the very latest research.
Eight years later, we're so proud that our early stage research intelligence platform is widely used by leading pharma companies, biotech companies, enablers, and also research institutions as a central cockpit to bring clarity to the chaotic and dynamic external scientific world. And with this, I'd like to say hi to everyone here at the BioRN community. We're proud to be part of the ecosystem around Heidelberg, and looking forward to participate in any of the next events to meet you.
So thank you very much for these impressions of a highly motivated team and the faces behind the data. And by the way, I like your office, especially the wonderful view. I think I come by for a coffee someday. So, well, was a great overall view about academic labs and the platform, but I think the most important thing is that we demonstrate today some features of this scientific landscape. But before we start with this, just a short notice to all of you dialed in Zoom. Do not hesitate to include your questions for Francesco in the chat, and I will read them in a few minutes. So, let's dig into the system, I would say. Of course, we're looking forward to demonstration of the various features and search options. So, Francesco, are you ready to give us some insights?
Absolutely. Moment. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Looks good. Mm-hmm.
So let's tangibly go into details what Academic Labs does. So what we have and we constantly do weekly is harmonizing any information that are out there in terms of research for you to easily, in a couple of clicks, really find out what is happening. As you can see, we map any labs from the top 1,000 universities worldwide. So we are agnostic in terms of research, in terms of actual geographic area. Any academic labs is represented with the full information on our platform, as well as more than 18 million individual scientists, as long as they have a short output release, so then qualify them as scientists, as well as any life science entities from startup, spin-off, CRO, CDMO, basically the full representation, allowing as well to understand, for example, the latest spin-off from a specific university to understand as well global hotspots in terms of new science in early stage. And then all this profile, which we do gather information as well from their website. So in terms of news for that matter, so in terms of like services and technologies they provide, if the terms that you guys are looking for is mentioned on those websites or those university labs, it will be retrievable on Academic Labs. And more importantly, we basically allow weekly a major update on all the latest publication, can it be early stage from literature, as well as any clinical study from all the major sources worldwide, as well as any grants authority, can be the DFG in Germany, can be CACM in Japan, NIGF, NSF, in the US, Horizon, any patent authority. So basically, we allow you to really have a central cockpit where you don't have to leverage and utilize several different dozen platforms, which have a UX, which is all different from each other, all harmonized via academic labs and be certain that any update can be tracked with alerts. And then basically allow you to have any research on any topic you're looking for and have, let's say, a return on the results that you're looking for. So as you can see, I'm looking for KRAS, and then we have 18,000 labs worldwide, 3,200 companies, and all the data related to it. So it's very easy if I would like to understand, for example, companies-wise, that maybe labs might be something we can do later, but let's say company-wise, and not only filter based on biological concept, therapeutic area, funding stage, investment stage, clinical stage, patent stage. So really having a very deep dive analysis on what is happening and what companies are doing, filter them out. Let's say I want to find an early stage spin-off from the German country, which has a specific focus on a therapeutic area and has this kind of result. It will be very easy to streamline and find this information. As you can see, funding range, for example, early stage result, let's say in the last 3 years. I can filter, as you can see, 62 one, the clinical stage at the patents, the biological concept they're focusing, let's say, with lung neoplasm, and then understanding what kind of clinical stage they're at, for example, or preclinical, and then, as you can see, having information on the company that we could select for specific information, understanding, for example, all the organization they're collaborating with, the publication they have had, and of course, expanding on each data on the content of this information. As you can see, we can really go into the details and every data that we can elaborate. Grants, for example, patents available, clinical stage. So really anything at your disposal to narrow down from a very generic question to specific profile. And of course, we know that the importance of searching information, finding people that they're looking for, but as well, and that is the latest kind of service that we are providing, we know that sometimes interpreting this data, getting real information out of this data, that is the next step that, of course, like the offices might provide and might do, but then it's something that academic labs does provide as well. So, for example, that's something that we are doing with specific parties in terms of, let's say, I'm a research center and I would like to understand, based on my technology, based on my know-how, which company out there might be extremely relevant on in licensing my service. And that is something that academic labs provide on top of this access to the platform in interpreting data and actually providing a real answer to this solution. Or the other way around, for example, there are scientific challenges. Understand, for example, that scientific team might have, okay, not only the need to understand who are the major players, but understanding, okay, what are the scientific answers to this problem? And that is something that academic labs, on top of the service of accessing the solution, can provide. And that is indeed one of the development we have had massively in terms of like not only being a service, a solution as a service, but as well as an insight as a service, thanks to the amount of qualified data that we process every day. Same scenario, would like to, for example, very easily to find expertise in KRAS in the Heidelberg region. That's a very interesting and specific case which we can easily perform. Where like I can simply utilize filter and understanding that there are 95 labs in the Heidelberg region that have this specific focus. And of course, I can even filter down based on the activity they've had lately in terms of like publication. I can see where they published. I can see if they won a grant. I can see if they have a patents. I can see that if they're PIing for some clinical study, for example. I can really filter out all this wish list to come up with the specific lab. As Professor Bergman in Heidelberg University, I can see the publication related to KRAS. I can see the kind of citation he has received with his lab. And more importantly, and that is a very unique selling point for academic labs, is having the context of what the team is doing. So it's not only the scientist, but then we always contextualize the scientist into the activity is performing, the ongoing project they have, all the publication they've had, the projects they're conducting, the patents they might have, and then always have the last step on understanding this expertise, where are they sitting, in what kind of context, and what experience historically this lab has had. Same applies, of course, for company. I can see that question. I don't know if you will.
Many questions already. So, well, let me just check. I start probably with question. Can you, this is from Heiko Ritzenheim. Can you search for technology like antibodies, mRNA, cell and gene, etc., and clinical phase certain candidates in a company's pipeline is in? Who do they manufacture with? Pre-GMP and GMP?
Definitely. So like indeed, like those are the questions that we can search, which we require, of course, like some scouting around. But then indeed, that is the power, for example, of leveraging as well website information of companies. So like, for example, if they providing service on GMP, for example, and that if it's mentioned, filter that out and come up with like the potential list of players that you might be interested in. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the current?
To comment on that, Stephanie, or you want to leave the discussion to the end?
If it fits right now, I would say, of course, ask your questions right now, and I just have a look at the time that we are not.
Yeah. So I think it's a great concept, Francesco. I really like it. Having been in academia before, the title kind of alludes to the fact that the whole thing originates from this idea of bringing academic groups together. Now you also venture into companies where there is maybe different targets and objectives, and it's not only discovery, it's also development, etc. Is the ambition to cover those as well, or are they already covered? You know, from a company perspective, I work for a CDMO, Menarini Biotech. So I would want to do a search where I try and identify biotech companies that have an antibody pipeline, and not a one-trick pony, not a company that just came out of university looking for seeding money. So, you know, company with a bit of a pipeline in the antibody space that is well funded. So, you know, am
Absolutely.
I, from that perspective, able to search your database as well?
Absolutely, and thanks for the for the referral to the name. I feel your pain. We have had similar.
Not a pain, but
kind
you
of.
know, it's just a comment.
No, absolutely. It's something that indeed, like I think the question that Stephanie made, like how the company developed, makes absolutely sense. We started indeed with like bringing transparency in academic landscape, but then since then we became extremely agnostic, because indeed the pain and sometimes the interest goes to a later stage. Very often, I would say, when it comes to CRO, CDMO as well, and as well pharma, many are focusing on a later stage rather than a very early stage. So indeed, to answer your question, what we have done is in the last 2 years, we have massively focused our energies on the company side. And now, for example, we have as well news information, which we update basically daily on press releases. So on your question, indeed, you can find companies which, as you can see, you can say early stage, but you can define as well like investment stage. So you can say Series C or pre-IPO or pre-acquisition. So you can really go as late stage or clinical stage 3. So basically, you can analyze the full spectrum, and as an added value, because we started with analyzing early stage data, not only you can see the services, the technologies this company have, how much they raised, the leadership behind, as well as thanks to the data we leverage for the academic landscape, we have this kind of scientific data and understanding, okay, this CRO, for example, has been publishing a lot on these services. I can see the patents they filed for these services. I can see the collaboration they had. I can see the news that they're collaborating with a company as well. So you have the 360 degrees picture, not only on the financial side, not only on the services side, as well as on the scientific side of what this company has produced.
Maybe it's an easier question to ask. What is it you cannot do?
Well, for example, like when it comes to more analysis on pipeline, that's something that we're not focusing at the moment. But what we definitely are putting our strength on is really allowing people to personalize the research based on, of course, we have key use cases. Our major collaboration is, well, of course, with the R&D, external innovation, VT, competitive intelligence from big pharma and biotechs and VC as well. However, we have a major kind of like collaboration as well from the CRO side, from the CDMO side, because then it becomes more like, I understand the science, but as you rightly said, like we want to understand a later stage for a commercial purpose for us to find leads for that matters.
So there's another question from Claudia that might fit at this stage. She asks, do you only mine online information, or is it possible as a company, academic lab or research infrastructure to highlight targeted information on your platform?
Personal target, to understand the question, Stephanie, like it's from a personal point of view to upload information about targets?
Well, Claudia, would you like to?
Yes, certainly. Maybe I can clarify. So I'm from Bioimaging. We're a European research infrastructure that is coordinated here from Heidelberg at EMBL, and we are a network of imaging facilities all across Europe, and we are always on the lookout for gaining more visibility, because we provide a lot of research services which result in publications. Researchers come use our facilities, but our infrastructure itself does not flag up so much then if you do this kind of search. And we are just wondering if you also accept information or profiles that people share with you, or if there's a way of making this more visible.
Great, thanks for the clarification. So indeed, our approach is leveraging official sources. So for example, when it comes to academia, we always relied on the Times Higher Education ranking, and if academic center qualify in the top 1,000 of this ranking, they will be represented. Company-wise, of course, anybody working in life science will be represented. For center that they would like to, the active player in the life science ecosystem and beyond, of course, and they're not represented because of this criteria. When we see added value on, of course, like objective added value, like might be your organization, definitely we do an additional mapping to add more resources. To give an example, we are since 3-4 years working in Japan and Korea extensively with representative in that area as well. And there were a lot of center and information which will be, let's say, out of the this Western, let's say, standard or more criteria that we are used to, that were falling off our radar. And ad hoc, we have added this information, translating from Japanese into English, to allow, of course, a more extensive information to our users as well, to our visibility in Japan. But if it wasn't for this, let's say, private or direct advice from our office in Japan, we would not have had it. So in that case, indeed, if there is kind of like a recommendation from your side and we see added value, more than happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be very, very happy to contact you about this, because there's, on a European level, there's 15 life science research infrastructures, which are all, most of them networked works of really renowned academic institutions, and that might be something worthwhile to explore.
Happy to.
Great.
Absolutely.
So, sorry to interrupt at this stage, but we have another 10 minutes, and I suppose, Francesco, you probably wanted to demonstrate some more features. So my suggestion would be that, of course, I'm collecting all the questions that are coming up and maybe forward it later to you. But at this stage, I suggested we just move forward with the demonstration.
Absolutely. Thanks, Stephanie. So like, indeed, as I mentioned now, I'm starting my research based on companies, based on labs, based on geographic area. As well, I can simply do a reverse engineering and just say, okay, might be purely to want to have insight scientifically. And then what I will be able to do is, back to KRAS, having, for example, a quick filter and saying, okay, I want to see who the KOL are in Germany, for example, on KRAS. Or more importantly, for collaboration, understanding who the rising stars are in this topic. So meaning early stage lab or labs that just started to focus on this topic, and they creating a lot of traction in terms of like positive results. Same scenario is understanding trends. So as you can see, having an idea in terms of like where science is going, and those of course are all intelligence extrapolation data coming from publication, which allows you to really see, okay, which disease, for example, we're focusing on in terms of like trends as well as genes, of course, KRAS on that side. Will be the prominent one, but like, for example, the core research, where is it going on other topics? So this is giving, and of course you can limit this in terms of time, in terms of region, and so forth. So having the possibility to have understanding on specific trends in specific region on specific topic, that can be very insightful as well. And on that side, what Academic Labs allows you to do when, of course, like we do start analyzing from an helicopter view, is the possibility to then deep dive in results, and in terms of time saving that we find extremely valuable for people. So let's say I want to understand and analyze this lab. What I will be able to do is focusing on the research, and that is something that many people might suggest, like, okay, but now with ChatGPT coming up, what would be the difference in terms of like understanding and having results on specific information? That is when we say this is the difference. The qualitatively and scientifically validated data that we import and we disambiguate, then at that point, we apply intelligence data, AI data, AI technologies to really, for example, let's say I want to see the one publishing KRAS from this lab in the last year and a half, and then have 32 publications. And now we can apply AI technology takeaways to have what are the results for you to really understand in a few seconds. I understand this lab or this company. I understand what they're doing. I want to see what in the latest, let's say 6 months up they've been doing. Give me an extrapolation of their results to really analyze, okay, this is very relevant for me. And that basically you saved reading 25 papers before understanding if it is relevant for you. As you can see, easy to copy and paste, or export your data, and you have an about. But now, as I mentioned, we're focusing on labs, we're focusing on companies, we're focusing on researchers, but we can do it the other way around. So very easily, I can even say, KRAS, fantastic. Let me see where the money are going. In Germany, for example, in the last year. So the concept of the Academic Labs is literally in few clicks to give you, okay, there are 2 projects in Germany, in KRAS, in the last year and a half. This has been updated. It's an Horizon one, it's 10 million. This is the consortia. There you go. So like in 2 clicks, you do know in Germany what is happening that you should be available of. Same scenario, I'm looking for grants. I can do easily clinical stage. So now I can see in clinical stage, and that is the comprehensiveness of the platform, that from different data set, I can just have the helicopter view and then still deep dive in the details. So Germany, 15 clinical projects happening in KRAS, and then easily checking by the sponsor, for example, or by the collaborators. And then, of course, having the possibility, there you go, to see the PI right away and just saying, okay, now I want to have the full, not only I know the stage, what is happening, led by BioRN Hengeline, but now I would like as well to see who is leading this clinical study, who is the PI, and then having the profile in terms of the expertise of this PI, the publication, where is a let's say, project I've been relying on, and having on the same platform, not having to leave all the information you need to understand, okay, what is happening in Germany, who is conducting it, who is the major player, what's the topic about, and who is leading them. Same scenario for publication. So like the point is, academic labs, it really allows you to go way deeper than individual sources of this data can do, and way broader in terms of like understanding all the parallel analysis that we will have to conduct to have a clear scientific overview on the topic. As you can see, like, yes, indeed, allowing you, for example, to focus on a disease related to KRAS, that can allow you to extrapolate and eliminate so many false positives of publication that 8,800 might be too much. Let's say it's purely for inflammation disease scenario, all of a sudden is 1 out of 8, which are relevant to you. And by the way, having the beauty of saying, okay, if I'm in Germany, who is the leading lab? Let's say, as you can see, lab in the last 2 years. So all of a sudden now I know this lab in Munich should be the one I should be referring to. Very straightforward. Can do that for companies as well. And very importantly, for example, to conclude when it comes to companies in understanding, for example, patents, and that is, for example, filters that we additionally made available lately based on like drug patents, drug delivery patents, and of course, again, same kind of filtering that we have shown for others, understanding later the time range, understand the classification, understanding the applicants, and again, from an helicopter view, coming down to the details that you would like to extrapolate. And again, as I would like to specify, we understand that the data can be cumbersome, and we do simplify the navigation of this data as much as possible. However, we didn't understand that that cannot be sufficient sometimes for time constraints or scales and so forth. Hence, we do provide service of insight as a service, or clusterization as they matter, to really extrapolate the insight of all this data and provide a report to you for that easy way to digest the information you're looking for. So on this, Stephanie, I think I'm happy and confident that we have had a good overview on what academic labs can provide, and happy to open up for questions.
Thank you very much, Francesca. I know time is always running quite quickly, and even if you demonstrate or want to demonstrate things, there are one question which is definitely interesting. It's about the business model based on membership fees. Could you answer the question, please?
Absolutely. So like, I'm happy to say that the partnership with BioRN allows for members to have a discount on the business model that academic labs provide. So happy to address that individually with people. The idea is that the two criteria then define the business model of academic labs is indeed the size of the organization and the number of accesses that the organization will require. And of course, we have business pricing for startups or early stage or small kind of like entities up to the BioRN Hengeline or the Abvid of this world.
Thank you very much. And one last question comes from Max Maletto. If you want to summarize what make academic labs unique compared to other similar software.
Thanks, Max. No, absolutely. So like the uniqueness, as I mentioned, like all this data that academic lab reports uniquely is structuring under the lab or the company that has produced it. So having an harmonization from any single individual data up to the big umbrella where it belongs to is what really allows you to find the collaborator, the customers, the potential acquirer, contextualized on, that publication came out, I can see this professor made it, but I can see this professor is not actually teaching it or doing research in the lab, is actually the advisor of this promising startup, which is coming out and has raised 10 million for this first prototype. So that is the difference of from a single data to always contextualize to the organization, the team, the company that is conducting a specific project.
Thank you very much for this overview. Well, we have reached the end, and I have to say, and would like to say thank you, Francesco, for your time and for answering the questions. And as you might know, when we come to an end, we ask for the present. Do you see it that you want to take away when you come back?
Thank you.
Well, you pass by someday, and I leave it to you, but of course, fresh ones. So do you like the gummy bear jar, or do you prefer the, you see it, the M2Ms, the M&Ms?
The M&Ms are always sweeter, like it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for the audience, I'd like to mention that this interview, of course, will be soon available on our website. And see you back in June for a special edition of M2M Member to Member with Editor. The exact day will be published soon. Francesco, I'm sure you're more than happy to answer further questions in one-on-ones, and I'm sure you're going to be approached. And I, of course, connect you as soon as possible to the people. So,
absolutely, more than welcome. And will you, Stephanie, will you share my email address or?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay.
I will share your email address, and yeah, so that should be the best idea to get in contact with the attendees. Right, so thank you very much. Thank you, Academic Labs. See you soon for the next M2M, and see you probably, Francesco, on the BioRN annual conference, 9th of October.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.